Hello and welcome back to the Sentient Sock Puppets, and it's been about a month or so since I've made a video. So, where have I been? Pretty much the short answer is just I've been playing Pokemon Go. The long answer is I've been working a lot to save up for a trip I'm taking, but in all reality, I can just be a little bit lazy sometimes. First off, I want to say one thing. Since my last video, my game room tour, we actually got a lot of subscribers since then, so I just want to thank all of you new subscribers and, you know, the old ones too. But just to think that before I made that video, we were at 64 subscribers, and the time of uploading this, we had 93. That's almost 30 subscribers just since that last video, so seriously, thank you. So here I am finally again with another review of a game that I absolutely love, and this game is Adventures of Mana. Adventures of Mana is a direct remake of Final Fantasy Adventures for the Game Boy. Honestly, Adventures of Mana is a much better name for this game because it's actually the first game in the Mana series. And if you don't know what the Mana series are, you're seriously missing out. They're a group of very good games, especially this game's sequel, Secret of Mana, which many argue is the greatest RPG on the Super Nintendo, right behind Chrono Trigger. Adventures of Mana was released on smartphones on February 4th of 2016 and later ported onto the Vita on June 28th. Now, of course, I waited for the Vita version because buttons. But unfortunately, being a port of a smartphone game does have its problems, so let's get into the review and find out what's good and what's bad about this game. First off, the game does not take advantage of the Vita's processors. The Vita can do much better than this. Not to say that it looks bad, it just could have been better. Also, the entire user interface is very touchscreen friendly. The Vita does in fact have a touchscreen, but for purists like me, it does not feel optimized for a controller. Also, it was annoying when sometimes I found my fingers clipping the screen because it completely messes up my character's movements. Also, since smartphones lack buttons, they have to put large virtual buttons on the screen, and it's really distracting. I would have loved to turn it off because it just limited the amount of screen you could see, but I didn't find a way to do it. There's no reason for these touchscreen controls to be there because anyone who's paying the $4 extra to get this on their Vita is most likely doing it to have physical buttons. Okay, that's enough about all of that, but let's talk about the game itself. How does it hold up after 25 years? Surprisingly well, actually. The combat is fair and feels good, and the dungeons, while straightforward, feel well thought out. One thing that bothered me was how nobody really mattered in the game as far as enemies go, however. Pretty much every boss except for about 2 or 3 were just there to be there. They were just a dragon or just a random monster. They had no consequence whatsoever. Also, they were super easy. This is not a hard game at all. Not even the final boss is that difficult. You just have to hit him a few times and not touch him because he has one-hit kills that are really annoying. But that's where my gripes with the enemies end. I did have fun taking on the bosses because it was a lot of memorizing their patterns and learning when to strike. Grant, I never really had to try more than once or twice because the magic in this game is very overpowered. In this game, the very first spell that you learn is a healing spell. You even get a huge assortment of weapons to take on these foes, so you can really pick your fighting style. This game also did a fantastic job at shaping characters that you actually care about. First off, and most importantly, the female character, who I named Lisa, after Lisa Hayes from Robotech, is a character that you will care so much about by the end of this game. I also named the main character Rick for obvious reasons. But together they will develop so well in the first few hours that once Lisa gets kidnapped later on in the game, you generally want to save her. I've never felt such a dire need to save and protect a character in a game since I played Skyward Sword. Other than that, the characters range from interesting to completely forgettable, and I think it's mostly due to being a Game Boy RPG. Characters will say the same thing over and over even after huge story events. It was very immersion breaking, but it's understandable since it was pretty common for RPGs of the time. You also get a Chocobo, who later gets robot legs. I love him, and I wish he was in every game. Ever. One big part that this game did really well was the soundtrack. The soundtrack! It's all orchestrated versions of the original chiptune music, and it's beautiful. Just the fact that the music from 1991 holds up after it's reorchestrated like this really shows that they had an extremely talented composer, and in all honesty, I think it's worth it to get this game just for the music alone. As a matter of fact, currently, while I'm recording this, I have my laptop downloading the soundtrack off of iTunes right now. That's right, I haven't touched my iPod in probably 4 or 5 years now, but I broke it out just to buy this soundtrack. It's that good. The best part is that you can switch back and forth between the new orchestrated versions and the original chiptune music whenever you want. I loved just sitting there switching back and forth just so I could see how well that these songs were remade. I really hope that Square Enix releases this soundtrack on a format that's not iTunes, because I would love to get a physical CD of this. But more importantly, I'd much rather than release the game physically for the Vita, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, unfortunately. All in all, Adventures of Mana is a game that I thoroughly enjoyed. It shows its age here and there, but it holds up surprisingly well after 25 years. You will power through this game just so you can see the characters be reunited, and so you can hear even more and more of the soundtrack. I honestly plan on playing the whole thing through again soon, so that just really goes to show you how great of a game this is. You can download this currently for $9.99 on the Google Play Store and $13.99 on the Vita. I don't know about the iOS port, but I believe it's $9.99 as well. As far as I know, all the ports are the same, it just has to do with the way that you play them. But if you have a Vita, it's really the best way to go. I have heard of this having some problems on the Nvidia Shield, that's why I didn't download it. But honestly, I might do it again, just so I can hook it up to my TV and play it on the big screen. I really love this game, and it really would be worth so many purchases. Anyway, thanks again for watching. If you liked this video, please let me know in the comments, and if you played this, please let me know. I would love to have a conversation about this game. Remember, you can stay up to date on the Sentient Sock Puppets. I'll put our Twitter link in the description. I'm going to be posting to that more and more. And stay tuned for more reviews like this. Thanks again. I'll see you guys next time.